My Facebook timeline has been overrun by politics. It makes me yearn for the heady days of cat videos and ads for that blanket with sleeves. The relentless Trump-Russia updates, the Jared Kushner investigation, the persistent frat boy beer farts of treason, traitor, unqualified, undignified, unintelligent, un-American, under investigation, unconscionable, and unmitigated disaster. And I gotta do something, right? Life on Earth is in peril unless I sign this petition and then share it with 10 of my friends. Better yet, do I wear a pink hat, turn on CNN, or maybe wait till Rachel Maddow can break it all down at 6? Donate to the ACLU. I'm supposed to occupy some venue, demonstrate against someone, march to some place. Better yet, like Peter Finch in Network, because I'm so angry that the system has failed.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
In a fit of madness and desperation, maybe I just go to the window and shout that I'm mad as hell, and that I'm not going to take it anymore.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore!
Yeah, it turns out that my garage, where I built this studio, it doesn't have a window that opens, and shouting from the open door lacks a certain theatricality. Hey, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Anyway, you've heard of the 5 stages of grief when someone dies, right? There's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Well, I've got the 5 stages of the Trump-Russia scandal, plus how you can avoid the last stage, the stage where you feel dead inside. It's time to be less stupid. Welcome to Be Less Stupid. I'm your host, John Hotchkiss, and this episode is so important that I do not have time to ask that if you're enjoying these shows, would you please help me cover some of my expenses by making a donation at factbox.tv. That's factbox.tv. Moving on. The constitutional crisis in Trump's White House is the most serious threat to America ever. Even worse than the time that George W. Bush tried to sell back to the Indians the Louisiana Purchase for a 6-pack of Meisterbrow and a fistful of lottery scratchers. Every time I refresh my Facebook newsfeed, I'm punched in the face by bombshell headlines and breaking news. And it's a metric shit ton of information for the brain to have to absorb and to process. And look, it feels overwhelming. Since I started talking, there were like 42 new leaks. The stages of grief after a loved one's death can last anywhere from 6 months to about 4 years, but less if the person who died is an ex-wife or a mother-in-law. However, with Trump, it's only been, like 135 days. So here now are the 5 stages of grief of the Trump presidency: disgust, euphoria, terror, hopelessness, and then dead inside. Please, allow me to explain. Disgust. I'm disgusted by the evidence and increasing number of allegations about Russian influence in our election and Trump's possible collusion. Next is euphoria. Trump is a bad person with deceptive motives and no moral compass, so I'm euphoric that allegations of criminal behavior will result in him leaving office before the end of his first term. Next comes terror. That's the realization that, holy shit, there are a lot of allegations. Just this week, the FBI is talking to Jared Kushner. Mike Flynn might be cooperating with the FBI. There was Jim Comey's memos. Trump and Melania don't hold hands. Trump shoves the president of Montenegro. Trump calls terrorists losers. Then there's hopelessness. That's where you go, holy shit! Trump-Russia is the only thing that I watch on TV. It's the only thing I talk about, that I dream about. I dream about Trump and not the pretty one. So you're overwhelmed, only nothing is happening. So you feel hopeless. And finally, number 5, hopelessness metastasizes into feeling dead inside. You ask yourself, well, what can I do to help that the FBI, the House, the Senate, the special prosecutor, 2 federal courts, and the media aren't already doing? Oh, I know. I'll put on a pink hat. Being awoken to the pointlessness, well, you shut down. Nothing matters. You're broken and beaten, dead inside. And so, well, you do nothing. But wait, have I got good news for you? You're not alone. Those feelings that you're having, we're all experiencing them. And science has seen this coming up Broadway with an underdog balloon. A few years ago, scientists did an experiment inside a supermarket. They put out a display with 20 varieties of jelly. And there were little bits of bread, and customers are encouraged to sample. And hopefully they buy something. They kept track of how much jelly was sold. Next, they put out a different display. This time, just 3 kinds of jelly. And again, there's bread, and customers are encouraged to sample the jellies. Now, which display do you think resulted in more jars of jelly being sold? The one with 20 or the one with 3? The answer is the second one, the one with fewer choices. Why? Because when we're presented with so many options, so much information, the brain doesn't know what to prioritize and what to ignore. It focuses on the recent, not necessarily those things that are important. So what happens? Well, the brain kind of shuts down. And instead of just picking something, anything, many people at the jelly counter or in politics end up making no choice at all. Now, the brain has an enormous capacity to take in information. When you're driving, right? You see the road, how much gas is in your tank. You see all the cars around you. You know the weather. You know your speed. There's music and the kids are screaming in the back. However, this thing with Trump is totally different. It's relentless. Think about how often and how fast you scroll through your Facebook timeline, the volume of headlines that you read, the number of stories that you click on. The brain needs time to absorb that information, but it can't make a good decision if it's constantly in the mode of taking in information. So, what can you do to beat back that dead inside feeling so that you can be less stupid? Well, the first thing you can do is turn off your phone. No, not forever, believe me. That candy's not going to crush itself. Instead of checking Facebook like 100 times a day, do it like 20. And set a time at home when you're going to put your phone down. I don't know, say 9 o'clock. Follow fewer of the political pages and groups and more about pizza and, say, Twin Peaks. And do the same with your computer. And, of course, the same thing with your iPad. Recognize the feeling that comes over you when you start to get overwhelmed. So as soon as you feel it come on, go outside and have a smoke. Or get some ice cream. Or better yet, do some exercise. Oh, and I almost forgot. There's one other thing. There is a 6th stage of Trump-Russia grief. You got to remember that the FBI, the New York Times, the Washington Post, Congress, 2 federal grand juries, and a bunch of internet sleuths are doing what they do. If there's dirt on these fuckers, they will find it. And the traitors and the colluders and the justice obstructors, they will be kicked out of office, and many of them will end up in jail. It just takes time. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Be Less Stupid. If you got this far into the show, let me say it's kind of a milestone for us. For me, this is our 50th episode. And you can see the previous 49, totally free, on our website at factbox.tv. That's factbox.tv. All right, that's it. I'll see you next time on Be Less Stupid.